Welcome, everybody. I do love my theme music. You ever thought about your walk-up music? What your walk-up music would be? It's definitely my walk-up music. How you guys doing? Whoa. It's autumn. Autumn allergies are here. Dr. Steve Yano back with you again. Hello. Welcome back. I hope you are ready for some debate action. Last video, if you're watching these in sequence, if you're in my online class, greetings to those of you randos from YouTube who are watching this who aren't in the class. You know, good to have you here. The last video was about looking over from the 30,000 foot view, which is a phrase I'm going to use a lot today, of the rubric for debate and how online debates and asynchronous debates ought to be evaluated. Maybe I can pull that back up. We can take a look at that again. What we're looking at in this course is your debate speech and debate speech quality. Let me pull that up. One moment, please. There we go. So what we're looking at is the debate rubric, and we're going to talk about some of the different things about an asynchronous debate and how an asynchronous debate should be evaluated. And one of these things, I think, is that it should be evaluated by speech, by the person's individual speech. I don't think that a side winning or a side dominating in a debate is a way to evaluate it. I certainly don't think like by team is a way to evaluate it. The best way is which person did their job and who did their job better than the other people. In beginning debate, I think it's very important to say who was able to accomplish what they needed to do in this difficult and challenging task, met those basic requirements, and then should be rewarded for that. You should get a good grade for that. That's where I'm coming from. So in today's lecture, this video, we're going to talk about the first one, which is the burdens that are required for a good debate. Now, you might not think of it like, is my burden just to, beat the other side silly? Am I not just supposed to win and point out how dumb they are and how little they have behind them? You might get that lesson if you watch a lot of CNN or Fox News, or if you watch our presidential race that's occurring at the time this video happened between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It's not going great.
Oh.
Argumentatively, is it? Or from what we would want the highest standards of this to be. But that's because here in the United States, we suffer from a thing I call rhetorical starvation. We are famished rhetorically, and we are undereducated in terms of argument and debate. Now, there might be reasons for that. I could speculate on that in another video if you want to hear those reasons in detail, but suffice it to say, the plutocrats, the rich people who run the United States of America, it is not in their interest to have a workforce that can critically question and evaluate evidence and advocate for themselves, right? It's just not in their interest. Why would they want to support that? So you see, there's all of like this class is required for a lot of you, but in most universities and most schools across the country, definitely not required. Like the UK is way ahead of us on this. Can I just be political for 1 second? Is that okay with you guys? So the UK is way ahead of us on all of this because the UK is interested in this thing called oracy.
Oh.
Oracy is the study of oratory, verbal argument, verbal advocacy, and verbal explication and explanation. That is considered a kind of literacy you need to be a good citizen in a democracy or democratic republic. United Kingdom is investing in this big time. Private investment, educational investment, individual investment, school investment, and government money investment. They're really getting into it because things like YouTube, for example, and podcasting, people are verbal messaging and verbal claims and verbal argument is becoming so important these days. So vital. How many of you get most of your news from a podcast? You watch broadcast TV anymore? That's something your grandparents do, right? Yeah. We don't really do that anymore. So the important thing now, I think, is to work on this idea of rhetorical nutrition. We're no longer going to be rhetorically famished. But anyway, that's me being political. Let's shut the door. Let's get back to the assignment, which is what you care about. The burdens. In a debate is cooperative. I know that seems like a big shock.
Oh.
I've talked about it before. Debate requires cooperation to work. We have to agree on a topic. We have to agree on sides. We have to agree on when the speeches will happen and who will reply. All of that you have to do in your group within the time frame for the assignment that I'm going to be giving you. I think that we should be able to have 2 debates. We might be able to have 3. We'll see. I might make the 3rd debate optional. If you want to do it, you let me know, and then we'll set those up. But I'm still on the fence about how to do it in the class, how much time we have left. Because after all, it's mid-October here, 2024, mid-October. Semesters, we're at the midterm point. We have half the semester left. Might be enough time to do the debates. Let's see. We're all going to work together on this and kind of see how it works. But today, what we're going to do is talk about the burdens. And in a debate, every speaker has burdens. And I have prepared a PowerPoint. I know I'm always happy to do the bare minimum for my students. Always happy to do the bare minimum for you. Okay, let's talk about burdens in debate and what each speaker has to do in order to make an A. Remember, I talked about how everyone's going to be graded based on how they do in their speech. So what is that? How does that work? Magnets. How do those work? You guys remember Insane Cloud Posse and they're amazing? All right, let's take a look at this. Here are the debate rules, as best as I can say. If you do this, you're going to get the full amount of credit for that section of the rubric. The 1AC, establish the case fully, including the plan. Don't hide anything. You might think it's clever. You guys might think it's clever to hide something from the other side or from the audience and say, oh, well, we'll get into those details later. No. This is like the metaphor for this you want to think of as a court case. When the prosecutor gets up and makes a case against somebody for breaking the law, for murder, or whatever it might be, when they get up and make that, they have to put all the evidence on the table and all the arguments on the table to make the court and the justice system work. We have an adversarial justice system in the United States. That means the system doesn't work unless you have adversaries. The best way to have adversaries is everybody has the same evidence. That's why a defense attorney can call the prosecutor and say, I want all the evidence you have against my client. They have to turn it over. Recently, this Rust movie murder trial, Alec Baldwin, that case was dismissed. Why? Because the prosecutors did not give the defense all of the evidence that they had. And that meant the trial was invalid, that you couldn't have a trial. It's dismissed because they didn't follow the basic rules of debate.
Oh.
That's really what it came down to. They didn't follow the basic rules of debate, and the entire justice system is based on these rules being followed so you can have an adversarial system so we can get to the truth or the legal truth, whatever you might want to call it, depending on how you see it. I would call it the legal truth or the construction of the truth within a legal framework, but that doesn't mean it's any less important or that the justice system doesn't work. It works in a way that I think is really beautiful and great, and it's really fair and nice and good. It has problems, but it's based on the rules of debate, so that's why you can't hide anything. Everything comes out for the 1AC, your case of why we should support you. The 1AR, that's the speech you're going to give as the rebuttal later. Respond to all negative arguments and show how you beat them. If you do those 2 things in your first affirmative speaker, guess what? Full points. Yeah, I was wondering where you guys were. Okay, there you go. Yeah, very good. All right. If you're the first negative speaker, you have 2 speeches. In the first, you have to establish the negative arguments, why the affirmative is questionable, why their evidence doesn't hold up, but also why they're damaging, or why they're incorrect in their assumptions. And you read that evidence. You read those disadvantages. You make that counter plan. You do whatever you want. You make up your strategy why they lose. The next speech you do is the first affirmative rebuttal, which is a speech right before the first affirmative rebuttal. Right before this one, the first negative rebuttal. Respond to the 2AC. That's the second affirmative speaker, and respond to them, and summarize the debate. I think I should put myself up here because reasons. And make myself smaller. Hope you guys can still see me up there. I hope it's okay. Summarize the debate from the 30,000-foot view. Why do you win this debate? I'm going to use this a lot, 30,000-foot view and the specific view, because the debate, when you're doing the constructive speeches, the debate is going to be very small, very immediate. This piece of evidence is better than this piece of evidence. They claim this, but their expert isn't good. It's like very small, kind of constructing the case against them. Going into the details of the story of your dissent, going into the details of the story of your solvency, or whatever it might be. That's great. That's what the constructives are for. But in the rebuttal, what we do is we get in a plane and we take off. We look over the battlefield of the debate from a high vantage point. We're like, who's winning this debate? And that judgment framework is up to you to decide. There aren't any real rules. There aren't any real strict rules that aren't debatable about why someone should win or lose a debate. It's always framed by the debaters, for the audience, for the judge, about why they should carry the day in the debate. Why should they get your endorsement for winning the debate? And it could be something as simple as we had better evidence. It could be something as complicated as our disadvantages are more dangerous and devastating to people's lives than trying to solve for this horrible problem. It could be that kind of decision calculus, risk calculus, impact calculus. It could be anything you want it to be. You have to take the initiative and explain to the audience why you've won. Why what you and your partner have done have won the debate. That's up to you. There aren't any rules. There's no tick boxes. Debate is not a tick box survey. It's not a game where score is calculated and then you look at the score and you're like, this team won. It's not as easy as touchdowns or goals or whatever they do in soccer. I don't know. Is it goals in soccer? Can somebody in research check that for me? I don't know. I'm really still baffled by why soccer is so popular in the United States. I get why it's popular in the rest of the world and all that, but suddenly it's just super popular here. You go into a bar and people are watching soccer. I don't get it. Anyway, that's for another video. So the 30,000-foot view, why do you win the debate? That's your role as any rebuttal speaker. But in the 1AR, you don't really have the opportunity to do that, because in the 1AR, first affirmative rebuttal, you're responding to the negative arguments, and it's your first chance to really respond to a number of them. Okay, if you're the second affirmative speaker, your job is to respond to the 1A and C, say why they're wrong, why their arguments don't hold water, and then rebuild the case your partner read. So this is a speech that's very fluid. There's not a pre-written script for this. It's very fluid. You're going to be saying, well, the negative said these things. Let me respond to that. Here's why that's wrong. Here's some additional evidence why they're wrong, and here's some evidence why our case is good. Then you also have the responsibility of the 2AR, the very last speech in the debate. Do you guys remember the order of the speeches? Maybe I should bring that up as a helpful. I'm just thinking that maybe you haven't watched that video yet. You might be really confused as hell if you haven't watched that video yet. But let me bring up the whiteboard of the speech order. Yeah, there we go. You guys might remember this from a previous lecture. The order, it might be good to kind of look at this. So first affirmative, first negative, second affirmative, second negative, first negative rebuttal. They speak back to back. First affirmative rebuttal. The first affirmative rebuttal can't do the 30,000-foot view because they need to respond to the new material here in the second negative constructive that has come out. Second negative constructive could bring up some new ideas, new points, new reasons why the affirmative loses. Then their partner gets up and gives the overall perspective of the debate, the 30,000-foot view. Okay, this has to be dealt with. The 1AR is the only person who can do it. This could take up significant time in their speech, and strategically it might be better to just try to win those arguments and just say, we have a solid case, we're winning the debate, thank you very much. And then hopefully the 2AR can come in and really clean house. That's the way that would go. So anyway, I'll be referring to that for the speaker because this is kind of out of order. It might be confusing. So the 2AR is the last speech in the debate. Big reasons why you win. Some 2ARs will be like, there are really only 3 reasons why we could lose this debate. The first one is this, but we proved them wrong. We offered this evidence. They never responded to that. Or our evidence is better than theirs. Or our explanation is better than their explanation. Let's look at what we said in the debate. And you're actually using the speeches in the debate as evidence for why you win. Powerful, fun stuff, you know? Yeah, remember 2 speeches ago when John said, let's think about that. He said that, I don't know if that's exactly right. Let's look at the evidence from the 1AC. Let's look at the evidence from the disad. Let's go over that again. Let me explain that connection again. This is what a rebuttal does. Okay, 2NC, second negative constructive, respond to the 2AC, shore up those arguments if they've defeated some of them, give them some patching, give them some help. And then some more reasons why the affirmative is questionable or loses the debate. So you can bring up new reasons there. And the 2NR is the last speech the negative gets in the debate. What are the big reasons why the affirmative loses? Why can we not support them? Give me your final reasons why the whole debate goes your way. That's what we're looking for. Now, those are the speaker responsibilities. Any questions? Let me know the questions in the Discord, preferably. On Canvas, email, not preferably. Discord is best because your question is probably someone else's. So if you post it in a public channel, on Discord, then, things are going to be good. Here are our channels down here. Argumentation and debate. You can put in anything. Type it up, type it up, type it up. You can also put in amazing student questions. Anything and everything. I'm happy to help, and this is the best way to reach me, best way to get in touch with me, because it works great on my phone. Email doesn't, it's okay. And definitely Canvas messages is a terrible experience on the phone, as all of you know. I'm sure you know this. I'm sure you guys know this. All right, back to the lecture. If you have questions, please let me know. Okay, what do we do in these constructive speeches? These would be the 1AC, 1NC, 2AC, 2NC. What do we do in these speeches? Each of you are going to have to do one of these. No matter where you are in the debate, you have to do one of these and a rebuttal. So what's the difference? Well, in a constructive speech, you're bringing up reasons to support you. That's the point of the case. The case solves a problem. It shows the resolution is a good idea because it establishes a hard and wicked problem, deep, horrible problem that causes people a lot of ire. And it's very damaging, either financially, personally, maybe even loss of life, premature death. All kinds of things come up. You can choose whatever problem you want to address. And that's a reason to support you. Negative reasons to support you are you poke holes in the affirmative. You show the affirmative's evidence isn't that strong. You prove that that problem doesn't really exist. It's a perception issue, or the government's already solving that problem really well, I might add. And what's going to happen if they go in there and do that? They're going to mess that up. Or they're going to cause a disadvantage. A real harm is going to happen to us that they don't intend for it to harm, but it's going to have often economic, often conflict in foreign affairs, in international relations, also often conflict, but more often than not, an economic downturn, which is going to lead to depression, recession, and people suffering from poverty is going to lead to that. Creating arguments and explaining them. That's what you're doing mostly in these constructives. That's why the time limit's so much longer. Because you're saying, here's how this argument works. Here's what we're saying is going to happen. Here's what we're saying is wrong with it. Here's what we're saying needs to be done to fix the problem. And then going into detail about opposing arguments. What's missing? What doesn't make sense? What's missing about their claim? They say it's going to cause an economic downturn, but their evidence isn't specific to social media companies. It just says when big companies have government regulations, they tend to lay people off, but that's not true. We've seen the gaming industry, there's no government regulations there. They laid a bunch of people off. It can happen for other reasons. So this is where you question those arguments. They say that this is a big problem, but their evidence says that teen depression is a big problem. Their evidence doesn't say that social media caused teen depression is the root of the problem. That's a question we want them to respond to. We don't think that they have met their burden in terms of harms. That's an argument. Does it make sense to everybody? It's getting there. Once you do it, I think it's going to make a lot more sense to you. But that's what we're looking for in constructive speeches. So constructive speeches are like being a chef. You have all these beautiful ingredients. Oh, don't do that as a chef. Uh-oh. Health code violation. You have all these great and wonderful ingredients and you're cooking. You know the phrase, let them cook? I heard my students say this all the time. Let them cook, let them cook. I figure you guys probably say it too. You're like a chef in the constructive speeches. You're all the ingredients from the research assignments that your friends did in the class, all the research that you guys have done as a group of 4, it's going in the pan, it's getting fried up, it's going to be good. But the other side is kind of like critical chef shows. And if you're on the other side where you're watching them cook, you're like a judge on Top Chef. You're like, the flavor didn't come through, or you used too much salt or something. You're supposed to be critical of what they're doing. You're not supposed to be supportive. You can even go as far as Gordon Ramsay and be very like aggressive and very, very, very intensely like, this isn't right. This isn't going right. This is very bad. So 2 roles you have in constructive. The first role is the chef. You're putting an argument together. Like, look at how delicious my dish is. And look at how many problems their dish has. Where's the lamb sauce? Do you guys remember that meme? Or is that meme kind of too old? That's one of my favorite memes of all time. Yeah, you can be critical. And you can be aggressive. And you can be direct about what's missing from that dish. And you should be direct and critical about what's missing from that dish. Because debate only works if you try to win the debate. That's the sad thing about it, right? You have to win. You have to try to win or it doesn't work. So you're trying to defeat them. Even if they have really good ideas and you're sympathetic to it, the debate doesn't really test the quality of those ideas unless you do your part and really, really, really push against what they've said. That's what the constructive speeches are for. Now, what's a rebuttal? The 1AR, the 1NR, the 2NR, and the 2AR are the rebuttal speeches. Now, constructive speeches are a lot like this. We're looking very closely at the ground, very closely at every little plant. We're looking at what's growing. We're looking at what's coming into the forest. Da, da, da. Most people who go to Yellowstone National Park don't go there for a very long time. It's a lifetime trip. It's probably the only time in their life they'll go. And they don't want to look at little seedlings. What they want to see is Old Faithful, the geysers, the big stuff. So when you're in the rebuttal, think about it's a trip to Yellowstone Park for the audience. It really is. I know it seems ridiculous, but think of it that way. What do they want to see? They want to see the big geysers. They want to see the big features of the park. This is an important part of the park. The new growth, the little plants, the little teeny tiny things, very cute. All a very important part of Yellowstone Park, but that's not what we need to focus on. If you have limited time, we got to focus on the big things. That's what a rebuttal is. A rebuttal is geysers, not sprouts. Thanks for that. It's kind of a bad phrase, but think of it as the major things are what you want to come out in your rebuttal. The major things are what you want people to pay attention to. Have you ever gotten a book like this? What the hell is wrong with this person? You see this? They highlighted everything except this one line here. Once the fighting was finished, the militiamen returned to their farms and shops. That's the only thing they didn't highlight. What is the purpose of highlighting a book? Why did they highlight everything except one line? The highlighter's purpose is to bring out the important claims for when you're reviewing the book, studying, looking for those major claims again. You can easily find them. If you highlight everything, it defeats the purpose. You might as well highlight nothing, right? This goes to show that, look at this one. This is even worse. Not everything matters that has happened in the debate. If you think of the debate like a textbook, not everything in it matters. What matters? The things that the professor has reiterated and talked about in class time and time and time again. That's what matters. That's what we study. Same in debate. The things that are the most important, the highlighted parts, rebuttals like a highlighter. Don't talk about everything in the debate. Talk about the most important things in the debate. The things that really matter in the debate. Talk about those. Those are the things that really have to come up. Those are the things that really have to be in the rebuttal speech. Think of it like a highlighter. 1 or 2 lines. Several pages go by, nothing, 1 or 2 lines. That's how highlighters work. Don't do this in your speech. Don't do this in your speech. Not a great way to point out important information. Really not. It's really not. And that's it for me. So that's the first one of the rubric. I'll do some more videos next couple of days, talk about that. I'm going to try to get the grades back to you pretty quickly. Some of them might be back already for affirmative, negative. And then we'll do some more about what you can expect in the first debate. But I think I'm going to go ahead and assign it, get you groups together, and get you guys working on it. I think it'd be good to get you guys out there working on it, and then I can provide what you need as you ask questions on Discord, as you ask questions to me through email, and other means we can get going. But that's it for this one about burdens in the debate. What's your burden in the debate? Very, very, very important that you meet your burden. It will impact every other part of the grade if you don't meet the burden. Thank you guys, everybody. Thanks for your sustained attention. Love you guys. Debate on.